Welcome back to the Mental Path Podcast. I'm Dr. Gretchen, your host. I'm a psychiatrist and your go to for science backed, real life strategies to help you think, feel, and perform at your best. Here, I blend medical science, psychology, and personal development tools to help you build practical mental health habits. You can do so much on your own to level up your self care. In our last episode, we talked about how nutrition is vital to your mental health, how it impacts your mood, energy, and brain function. Today, we're diving into something just as critical: self-care and time management. Because let's be honest, even the best nutrition plan won't help you if you can't find the time to take care of yourself. Neglecting self-care means neglecting your mental health, and that ripples into every part of your life. Today, we're diving into something I hear from so many of you. I just can't find the time for self-care. In fact, let me share a quick story. A few months ago, I had one of those mornings, the kind where kids running late, emails piling up, and I hadn't even had my coffee yet. By the time I sat down to work, I felt completely frazzled, and that's when it hit me. I wasn't frazzled because I had too much to do. I was frazzled because I hadn't planned for the day as I'm used to. My calendar was not updated, and I was reacting to life instead of leading it. Those days happen, I get it. But it happens just a bit too often for busy people like us. One of my listeners shared this. One of the biggest challenges I find in balancing mental health with my personal and professional responsibilities is time. It's challenging to make time. I just put a spa day on the calendar because if I didn't do that, my days would just run into each other. Prioritizing self-care is vital, but also challenging with everything that I'm balancing. Does this sound familiar? I thought so, and I get it completely. The truth is, time doesn't magically appear for self-care. We have to intentionally create it. As someone juggling a private practice, this podcast, online courses, and raising an 11 and a 6-year-old with my husband Carl, time management isn't just a nice thing to have. It's essential to my survival and well-being. Today, I'm opening up my calendar and my life to show you exactly how I manage my time as a form of self-care. These are not vague tips, but my actual system, the one that allows me to protect my mental health while showing up for my family, my patients, and yes, for myself. Let's make one thing clear from the start. Time management is life management, and it's absolutely a self-care practice. Your brain craves structure. It's constantly tracking time. You feel when a birthday is approaching, when the seasons change, and when you're running late. Your brain wants to know what's ahead to avoid surprises that trigger anxiety. When your brain can't predict what's coming, it burns more energy, leaving you depleted. Your brain is not designed to be on the go, problem-solving, or grinding 24/7. Just like a car that overheats from constant driving, we need adequate time to rest, recharge, and recalibrate. Neuroscience tells us that when we don't schedule rest and recovery, our brain starts working against us. Chronic stress puts your amygdala, your brain's alarm system, into overdrive. Overwhelm exhausts your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for decision-making and planning. And when you're running on empty, your nervous system stays in fight or flight mode, making even small tasks feel impossible. When you make time for self-care, you're not just recharging your energy, you're rewiring your brain for resilience. That's why self-care is non-negotiable. When you make time for self-care, something powerful happens. You become better for others and your work. This isn't selfish, it's necessary. As both a psychiatrist and a human being, I can tell you with absolute certainty that neglecting your own needs is a direct path to burnout, resentment, and diminished mental health. But here's what makes time management particularly challenging. It's not just about scheduling your day. Time management is actually energy management, stress management, goal management, and even relationship management, all wrapped up into one. That's why we're making time to talk about this. That's why it deserves our attention. Now, before I share my system, let me paint a picture of what I'm balancing in my own life. I'm in my mid-40s, raising an 11-year-old and a 6-year-old with my husband, Carl. My family is my priority. I want quality time with them, energy to be present, and space for fun and connection. Professionally, I run a solo private practice, manage this podcast and create online courses, and handle all my own scheduling and correspondence. I don't have a secretary. It's a lot, but with my system, it works. My calendar acts as my extra brain. It's an essential infrastructure for my life. I use a hybrid approach that combines a digital calendar, specifically Google Calendar, for all my appointments, tasks, reminders, and recurring events, alongside a paper planner, which I use as a journal for reflections, creative thinking, and brainstorming. First, I schedule personal priorities. Self-care activities are non-negotiable and come first, not last. My workouts and breaks are scheduled just like any other appointment. All birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, and my kids' school calendar go in immediately. Days I want to protect for family, like winter breaks, spring breaks, birthdays, school holidays, they get blocked off as early as possible. Then, I move on to my professional commitments. So I schedule everything with realistic time blocks that include client appointments, project work, and admin tasks. I always factor in enough buffer time for preparation and follow-up. I keep a ruthlessly realistic view of time allocation, never underestimating how long tasks will take. Most people mismanage their schedule by neglecting to account for the entire cycle of activities. For example, if there's a meeting from 9 to 10, I also have to consider the preparation and follow-up time. This lets my calendar capture everything, meaning I'm rarely surprised or scrambling. If you're wondering how to create a system like this, start with a simple but powerful exercise. Track your time for 1 week. Write down how you spend every hour. No judgment, just data. At the end of the week, ask yourself, am I spending my time on what truly matters? This exercise was a big deal for me. It helped me see where I was wasting time and where I needed to make changes. Of course, creating a calendar is only half the battle. A calendar system is only as good as your commitment to reviewing and adjusting it. Here's my review rhythm. First, daily reviews. Every morning, I glance at my calendar and write down what I'm looking forward to that day. This sets a positive tone for the day ahead. Throughout the day, I keep my calendar accessible. This helps me stay on track with my plans and my commitments. In the evening, I also do an evening review. I briefly check tomorrow's schedule. This mental preparation allows me to head into the next day feeling organized and ready. During the weekends, I reflect on the previous week. I ask myself some important questions. Were my non-negotiables honored? How is the quality of my family and alone time? I also do a physical and emotional check-in to assess my overall feelings. Based on this reflection, I will make any necessary adjustments for the upcoming week. Finally, I do a deeper review once a month. This involves looking at broader patterns and trends in my schedule. I check for alignment with my larger goals and values, ensuring everything is on track. If needed, I adjust my workload or commitments to serve my current needs. These reviews aren't optional, they're how I ensure my system evolves with my life rather than becoming outdated or restrictive. I don't wait until the end of the month or the end of the year to make changes. Time is just too precious for that. Having a calendar is one thing, but also protecting what's on it is another skill entirely. Here's how I do it. Clear family communication is essential. I make sure my husband Carl knows my general schedule, like my start times and end times and breaks. We tackle family logistics as a team. We share responsibilities and regularly check in with each other. This helps us adjust plans and keep us all in the loop. Now let's talk about time with friends. I've realized that short, frequent check-ins with my best friend work much better than trying to organize long catch-up sessions. We're okay with voicemails and picking up conversations right where we left off. For deeper connections, though, we schedule video chats like appointments, especially when we both feel it's necessary. Next, let's discuss boundaries with work. Here's my rule. I never double book, ever. If that happens, it's an error or something I missed. If a new commitment requires my time, I make sure something else has to give, and I'm honest about it. I also respect my own energy cycles. I work in 90-minute blocks following the ultradian rhythms and take intentional breaks to recharge. Finally, let's touch on the power of saying no. I only commit to things that align with my values and that I genuinely want to do. If there's a necessary task that I don't find appealing, like writing medical notes, I pair it with something enjoyable. It could be having my favorite cup of coffee or watching a simple movie in the background to make it more bearable. I keep those minimal and low stakes. The foundation of all these boundaries is clarity about my why. For me, my biggest why behind time management comes down to my values. 1, health, mental, physical, and emotional. If I am drained, I can't show up for my patients, my work, or my family. Number 2, my family. I want to be fully present for my husband and kids. I want fun adventures, deep conversations, and quality time, not just survival mode. 3, fun. I genuinely love what I do, but I also love movies, good food, traveling, and new experiences with my kids. I make space for joy, not just productivity. And number 4, quality work and impact. I run 2 businesses, volunteer in community and professional groups, and am building the mental path to help more people take control of their mental health. I want to show up in excellence, not perfect, but as my best, and self-care helps me do that. When I'm clear on these values, deciding how to spend my time becomes so much easier. It's all about aligning my actions with what truly matters to me. Implementing a time management system usually requires courage to make necessary changes. It's important to be brave enough to change what needs changing, even if it feels uncomfortable. Communicating your needs to others and asking for help is also important, as is knowing your limits in terms of time, energy, and skills. Investing money in essential support like hiring a biller or accountant or buying the proper tech to make my work life easier is also helpful. Lastly, it's vital to be patient with long-term goals while trusting your system. I've had to make tough decisions about my schedule and commitments. For example, it was huge when Carl took over morning drop-offs because he saw how stressed they made me. That required him noticing, me communicating, and both of us being flexible with our schedules. It took a long time for us to notice that, but we did it. The beauty is that once you make these brave choices, your system becomes even more supportive of your well-being. And sometimes these brave choices are really big ones, like changing careers or moving. Finally, it's important to remember that magic happens when structure meets flexibility. My calendar isn't rigid. It moves with me so that it serves me, not the other way around. To maintain flexibility, I intentionally create small gaps in my schedule to accommodate unexpected needs. I have backup plans in place for common disruptions. For instance, if I wake up late, I can turn to shortened versions of my non-negotiables like a 5-minute meditation instead of the usual 10. If my kids get sick, I have a system to quickly rearrange my day. And if I get sick, I know who can step in to support me and which tasks can be postponed. I've also learned to let go of perfectionism. As much as I'd love a spotless house, I've accepted that I don't need to do laundry every day or deep clean constantly. I can patiently wait for my son to clean the kitchen and dining room without micromanaging. Remember that you can't clone yourself or effectively multitask all day. Be strategic about task pairing. You can listen to this podcast while cleaning, but you can't have a meaningful conversation while writing an email. These actions are competing for the same part of your brain. I want you to understand that time management isn't just about getting more done. It's about creating space for what truly matters: your health, your family, your joy. When you control your calendar, you control your life. And when you make time for self-care, you're not just taking care of yourself, you're showing up as the best version of yourself for everyone around you. Your next steps? Let's make this actionable. I challenge you to track your time for 1 week. Identify one non-negotiable self-care activity and schedule it. Start a simple daily review practice, just 5 minutes to reflect on your day and plan for tomorrow. I'd love to hear what resonated with you from today's episode. How do you make time for self-care in your busy life? Share in the comments or reach out to me on social media. And speaking of boundaries and honoring your needs, Stay tuned for our next episode, where we'll explore how to navigate family and cultural pressures while staying true to yourself. Until next time, this is Dr. Gretchen reminding you that when you take care of your mind, you take care of everything else. Take care. See you next week.